thank you for coming out tonight to support Alysha. Joyce Sluss put all of this program together for us. This is one of the projects she worked really tirelessly on. And we're really proud to introduce you to Alysha Lacey tonight with her LPC, ATR, and tell me what those are because I don't know.
Licensed professional counselor and registered art therapist.
A licensed professional counselor and a registered art therapist. So let me tell you about Alysha with the Dougy Center. Alysha serves as the program director for the Dougy Center, which is a nonprofit organization that provides support for children, teen, and young adults and their families that are grieving the death of a parent or a sibling. So that ties into what you were talking about as well, Vicki. The first organization of this kind in the United States, the Dougy Center has grown to become a model program of child-centered peer support and serves more than 2,000 children and adults each year through support groups in Portland, Canby, and Hillsboro. The Dougy Center also provides training and resources worldwide to schools and organizations and individuals seeking to assist children who are in grief. Because the death of a family member often brings financial hardship, the Dougy Center services are completely free for families. So Alysha, tell us about this beautiful center.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be able to just come present to the community. This is the beautiful Dougy Center up on the screen behind me. So like the description said, we have 3 locations, and this is our house in Southeast Portland. Overall, you just always feel like this is such a great slide. Ultimately, there is no roadmap for grief. This was a piece of art that a child in our program wrote, and we couldn't really explain that anymore, right? It's absolutely, unfortunately, we would love for it to be a linear, step-by-step, clean thing, and it is absolutely not that, unfortunately. A quote from one of our 8-year-old participants said, "Grief feels like a whole wave comes out of your eyes." And I bet all of us grieving, we can understand that sentiment. So at the Dougy Center, our primary service is peer grief support programs. So we offer groups for kids ages 3 to 18, and then also their adult family members who bring them, and then also groups for young adults who come to meet every other week for an hour and a half, enjoy together, and really be able to just kind of find normalcy in their feelings. They're able to talk with others who understand what they're feeling, kind of speak the same language. The Dougy Center was started in 1982 by our founder, Bev Chappell, who was a nurse who worked with a young boy named Dougy up at OHSU. And Dougy was 9 years old. He had an inoperable brain tumor. And he was on the unit talking to other kids, saying things like, I know I'm dying. Do you think you're dying? And do you think you'll kiss a girl before you die? You know, things like that that a kid was wondering about when the adults in his life weren't really talking about death and dying at that time. And Bev really realized that Dougy showed her that kids speak the same language, and it's so powerful for them to be able to have a space to talk with each other about these really hard topics. So that kind of birthed the Dougy Center's peer support program. Bev had a small group of 2 or 3 boys who had all had a dad die in her living room, and that has bloomed today into a full program, which I'll tell you all about. So our bereavement groups are kind of our primary service. We have groups that support kids of all kinds of deaths and all age ranges. We match them up. We also have a special group called Esperanza that serves our Spanish-speaking families. So Esperanza, the kids group is English-speaking, the adult group is Spanish-speaking. So it's a culturally specific program. Our Pathways program is a bit newer. It's about 5 years old now. Pathways is a program for families living with advanced serious illness. So generally, that's an adult who has a diagnosis that's going to limit their life. Generally, that's like something like a stage 4 cancer maybe, or ALS, something like that, where the whole family can come to the Dougy Center. We have a group for kids, a group for teens, a group for the adult with illness, and a group for the adult caregiver. So kind of the family members all go to the different group that they need they're able to talk with their peers and access support, and then they come back at the end of the night and have a family meal. So that's been a very powerful program for families that are living with illness. And then after the person dies, the family is invited to join a bereavement group if they're interested in accessing support in that way. Finally, we have Light, which is a newer program. We're still kind of getting it off the ground, but we have Dr. Monique Mitchell, who joined us from South Carolina, and she is piloting a program that is taking the Dougy Center's peer grief support model and using it to support kids that are in foster care. So that is a group that uses our absolute same model, but also applies it to all kinds of loss. So kids in foster care may have had somebody in their life die, but they also experience lots of other kinds of losses. So really being able to have them have support and access that is really powerful. And we're really excited to bring that program to work with foster kids in Oregon. So I mentioned that our groups are kind of for all different types of death. We do feel like it's important to divide kids up kind of in relation to the person who died, and then also the type of death. So you'll notice on this slide we have groups for littles. We call littles our 3 to 5-year-olds, kids who are ages 6 to 12, middlers or middle school kids 11 to 14, and teens ages 13 to 18. We also have specific groups for after a suicide death, after a violent death, related to a sibling loss, and then also for those young adults. And we're pretty generous, I feel like, with young adults. We categorize young adults from 19 to 40. We're generous. Like I said, we have 3 locations. So Southeast Portland was the main house that you saw on that first slide. We also have a small house in Canby that's called Walker's House. And we have a rented space in Hillsboro where we can serve families on the west side. Groups meet every other week for an hour and a half year-round, and kids can start whenever they're ready to access support and stay for as long as they like. The average family stays for about a year and a half, but we definitely have families who come and access support for 6, 7, 8 years. It's really up to them and their individual timeline. And all groups are free of charge. So 36% of our families report living at the federal poverty line, and 95% report financial instability at the time of death. So it's very important to us that we're able to access those services, and money is not a barrier for them. This is a really cool slide. It's a little bit complicated, but ultimately what it tells us, there's a program in Denver that does a lot of really awesome research in the field of childhood bereavement, and it's broken down kind of all the statistics. So what it tells us is that 1 in 17 children in Oregon will experience the death of a parent or a sibling by age 18. It also tells us that over 49,000 kids under the age, or by the age of 18, will experience that in Oregon, and when you move the age range up to 25, it more than doubles to over 132,000 individuals. So we absolutely know that grief support is needed in our community, and we are serving about 2,000 people per month, but there's absolutely room for us to support even more, kind of based on this data. We serve about 550 kids and 425 adult family members every month. So this is our orientation video that I'm going to show you. There's some really sweet kiddos in here, and I'll kind of give you a nice perspective of what the Dougy Center looks like inside and our just kind of overall philosophy on addressing things. So switch this out.
At first, my parents made me come. I didn't really know what the Dougy Center was.
Why would you want to go somewhere where everybody's talking about the death of someone in their lives?
I knew that I wasn't really ready to talk about it, but my parents were a mess, so I was like, okay, I can do this for you. I came in and I was actually really surprised to see how caring and real everybody was. Real connections and support.
The The Dougy Center is a nonprofit organization that works with children up through teens and young adults who've experienced the death of a brother or sister or a parent. Death is a pretty big equalizer in terms of what really matters in life. We start with 3-year-olds, so we have groups for 3 to 5-year-olds, and we have groups for 6 to 12-year-olds.
My name is Noah, I'm 8 years old, and my dad died of cancer. My mom died of depression. I'm 9 years old, and the person who died was my dad, and how he died is he got really sick.
We've tried really hard to make the Dougy Center feel like home away from home. For the younger children, where you can play in any of the many different playrooms, art rooms, outside area for bigger play, a music room, and we have a dress-up area with a stage where they can perform their own plays, rooms for higher energy activity. We have a room called the Volcano Room, which is a very popular room.
When I first started coming here, I was 11, and I had a lot of anger at the time, so I used the volcano room to take anger out of things. Anger is part of grief because you're just frustrated trying to figure out why it happened, or why you.
Some of our kids are being told not to feel what they're feeling. We're saying it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to hurt people. So how can we help you get your energy out in ways that are positive? We also have a hospital room, which is really a playroom, but it's a reconstruction of a hospital room. And it's very popular, particularly with kids who've had someone die in a hospital setting. Through younger children, we do see how much what they're wondering about comes out through their play.
Hello, how are you today? What's your name?
I'm
How old are you?
3.
3.
I wanted to sing and sing more, but my dad stopped singing, then her body stopped singing. Then she died, then I was crying, and it was not good. I have a bad feeling.
Until you've experienced death in your own life, it's hard to understand. So they come to be with others who get it.
When I came here, like everyone understood they had similar loss, and it was just really nice to feel understood, and like people could actually be honest when they said, "Oh, I know how you feel."
You're treated with respect and sort of dignity.
When I first started coming here, I didn't talk much at all. Hearing other people talk about how they are so much better and they've been going there for a long time, I just felt confident that it would get better, even though it felt like it wouldn't. The Dougy Center has just helped me come to a lot better than I would have without it.
Alright. So that's kind of just a general overview. It really allows you to see our program, see some of the kiddos that we work with, and really hear from them about why it's effective and what is helpful about being able to connect with others. So again, just a really nice visual illustration. How we want grief to work is just in that straight, easy line, and how grief actually works is really that big jumbled up ball, kind of pulling it all apart. Overall, the Dougy Center believes that grief is a natural response to loss. We don't think of grief as something to fix or something that we need to necessarily diagnose. It's really just something that's natural and normal, and we expect that, and we really want to provide that support to all the kids that come into our program. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. It's absolutely individual for every single person, so really just kind of providing that space for people to find what they need and access this support. Duration and intensity are unique for everyone. It's absolutely why kids are allowed to come and stay as long as they'd like. Acknowledgement and understanding help, absolutely. And grief needs to be seen and heard, not necessarily fixed. So a nice quote up here from one of our friends who lives actually in Portland, Megan Devine, is a grief expert as well. She says, "The way to survive grief is by allowing pain to exist, not in trying to cover it up or rush through it." Grief is also influenced by numerous factors, which is why it makes it so unique for every single one of us. So these are some of the different things that play into grief, and how grief can look different even in the same person, but for different losses, your grief can be a little bit different. So age, death, relationship, response of others, your family history, life events, culture, race, gender, and social supports. All of those different things can look different at different times and then make it truly unique for all of us. So what is grief? It's sadness, but it can be way more than sadness. Grief has a way of kind of impacting our body on all different levels. So it could be cognitive. Grief could be feeling disorganized or scattered, or not being able to kind of focus on what you're supposed to be doing, because you've got what we call grief brain. It could be emotional. It could be sadness, but it could be anger. It could be frustration, confusion, guilt, regret. It could be behavioral. We see behavioral a lot in kiddos, right? They're kind of acting out what they're feeling, so they're doing all kinds of things to kind of show that they are grieving. It could be physical. It could be pain that we feel, or kind of, not like physical pain, not wanting to get out of bed, or just be achy, or have a stomach ache, or things like that. It could be spiritual. Lots of people that we work with question kind of their different spiritual journeys sometimes when a significant loss happens. It could be social. Sometimes your supports don't quite show up in the way that you anticipated or the way that you need, and that can feel kind of isolating, or could change dynamics. If, say, if you had a child die and people don't really quite know how to respond, sometimes that leads to distancing, which can feel really isolating, and cultural. So grief is really just kind of all-encompassing in all different ways in the body and the way that it manifests. Kids grieve very similar to adults, but also in their own way, right? So kids have a way of talking very concretely about things that happen, and sometimes that can actually be kind of refreshing. As adults, we have to think about the way that we're explaining things to kids, so we usually try to use very clear and direct language, like saying, so-and-so died, instead of we lost so-and-so, because we lost them, where did they go? Kids often get confused by some of that language because of the way that they think concretely. They can be very physically expressive. You saw our volcano room in that video. The volcano room is an absolute favorite. We see lots and lots of big energy in grieving kids, and we expect that. That's kind of the way that they get their grief out of their body. Short bursts of emotion. So we often talk about kids kind of going in and out of grief in a cycle. They'll kind of dip down, and you might notice that they're sad or angry or something, and then in the next moment they say, "Can I have a snack?" We're like, wait a minute, where are we following? But that's kind of the normal progression for kids to kind of dip in and out. They can be regressive in behavior, so maybe kind of going back in things like, potty training or napping, or kind of developmental milestones that they had made previously met. They may go back in that a little bit, or they may be more clingy. especially younger kids. It's not uncommon for them to ask questions a lot. So we really have to prep adults in their life that it's okay if your kid keeps asking, well, what happened to our doggy? And you say, oh, our doggy was very sick, he died. And he said, but what happened to our doggy? And, and ask over and over and over. That's really how they process, is through repeated questioning. And so sometimes that can take a physical, kind of toll on adults having to repeat those answers. But that's absolutely what kids need to hear. And then kids really grieve as part of a family. So really the adults in their life are modeling the way that they can manage things. So it's okay to show that you're sad over a loss, or it's okay to show that sometimes you get frustrated too, and really model both that it's normal to have those emotions, and then also that you'll stick together and kind of support each other through it. What helps? Honest and clear explanations. So kind of the same thing that I was saying, just using really concrete language and doing that in a way that kids can understand. We often say that kids will really ask what they want to know, and that you should let them guide. Because if they have a question, they're probably going to ask you, and that's probably the right time to talk about it if they're asking. Being a very good listener. As adults, we often want to kind of fix things and really offer our suggestions. But if we're able to kind of fight that urge a little bit and just open up our ears and listen, some really valuable stuff can come out of that. Offering kids choice is really important. When kids experience a death of any kind, they often feel disempowered. That wasn't their choice for that to happen. So offering them that choice back can be really helpful and kind of put them in charge. At Dougy Center, all of our play is child-directed and child-led. So we really let them assign the roles and tell us what games we're playing, and tell us, well, you're going to be the princess. Okay, I'll be the princess. What do I say now? So they really kind of let us guide on what happens. Providing safety and security, and also routine and flexibility, which I understand is a little bit contradictory, but trying to kind of keep those routines as much as possible so that it's predictable, and also flexibility in the moment when it's needed, not being too rigid on that. Helping them out with tasks, modeling those appropriate grief behaviors, offering opportunities to remember. So it's absolutely okay to talk about the person. If the kid wants to, they'll probably start talking about it, and giving them that space to talk is wonderful. And then creative expression. So we have an art room, a music room, a drama room. So we really try to provide different outlets for kids to really express different ways that they may want to talk about their person. The next slide is another just short video. This is from Brene Brown. She's one of our favorites, and she's kind of talking about empathy here. So this is a really awesome, concise example of kind of how to provide empathy and be there for people.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection, sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment. Not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space where someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, I'm down. I know what it's like down here. And you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, huh? No. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. At least you know you can do right. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I would you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Okay, so yeah, being present and connecting, that is kind of our main job in supporting grieving kids, grieving people, really kind of giving that empathetic response and just being there with them. The Dougy Center has lots of other resources. So I told you that our peer support groups are kind of our primary service. However, we also answer, last year we answered over 23,000 calls and emails from people in the community asking for resources, asking for connections to individual therapists, asking if behaviors were normal, you know, kind of what should I expect from my child, how can you help me? So we are always more than happy to take calls from anyone who's just interested in getting connected to kind of any grief resources that we know about, even if they're not necessarily interested in a group at that time. We have podcasts, and that green box in the middle is Grief Out Loud. Those are kind of 20 to 25 minute podcast episodes that specialize in grief, great on commutes. We offer tip sheets that are free on our website, so families can print off tip sheets about, say, supporting a grieving child or supporting a grieving teen after a suicide death, after a violent death, kind of specific topics that are going to give quick bites on just exactly what to do. We have a whole collection of activity books and DVDs for purchase through our bookstore and guidebooks for adults. We have a specific school and community toolkit that is through our website where any kind of school professional can access for their students. And then we also offer lots of training. So the Dougy Center was the first of our kind in the country in our model, and now there's over 500 support programs based on our model around the country and the world. So we're really trying to work to spread all that we know about grief and make that accessible to kids kind of everywhere that need it. So ways to get involved, volunteering is probably the biggest. So we have over 250 volunteers that commit in coming to our groups and hanging out with kids every other week. Our volunteers are a huge range of experience and age and background, and it's a really awesome kind of diverse group of people that are really just committed to being present with kids. They're super valuable to our organization, and so we're always looking for more volunteers. You can attend a Dougy Center event. So our big fundraiser is coming up in May. It's May 8th at the Portland Art Museum, and that's our Reflection Benefit. And that's a fun kind of silent auction and dinner that raises about half of our budget. You can also host a fundraising event to benefit the Dougy Center or host a toy or art supply drive to kind of bring things in. And I'm open by questions. If anybody has questions, I can, yeah.
I'd like to know, you said they can come and stay as long as they want and so forth.
Yeah.
Are you talking about 24/7 days? I mean, or in and out, or come back and forth, or?
Yeah. Yeah, so kids don't like stay and sleep overnight at our program. I mean that they can come for group and stay for groups, as you know, be enrolled in a group for as long as they want. So they come every 2 weeks for an hour and a half, and that can be for 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 6 years. It's kind of up to them. Yeah. Any other questions?
What kind of staff do you have?
Good question. So we have about half of our staff are program staff. So I'm the program director, so I oversee all of our groups and services. We have 10 clinicians who are kind of a variety of backgrounds, but social workers or counselors or different people that are professionals in working with kids. And then on the other side, we also have a development staff, so all of our fundraisers, because our entire budget is raised by our community. And then we have a small administrative staff. So we have about 20 people employed total, half of those being program specific.
How much does it cost annually to run your program?
Our budget is right under $2 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all your services are free.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, we don't charge anything.
So describe a typical day at one of the centers. How many groups would show up for their hour-and-a-half session, and what time do you open and what time do you close? That kind of
Yeah, so our office hours are 8:30 to 5. There's always staff there to answer phones and kind of be in the office. Because we serve kids, mostly they're in school, and so usually Monday through Thursday, we have a 4 o'clock group that starts. And so we have usually kind of younger kids in that 4 o'clock age. And then we also have a 6:30 group every night, and the 6:30 time slot is usually a kids and a teen group happening at the same time, so that families that have kind of a range of age of kids can all come and it's more convenient for them. While the kids groups are happening, we also have adult groups that are happening at the same time, so that parents and caregivers can also access support. And we recently started some Saturday groups, so those have been also really popular for families just because the week can get a little bit hectic with all the things that are happening, and so we have a couple of groups that we run on Saturdays as well. So overall, in the 2-week cycle, we run 71 groups.
What do you love most about your job?
Oh gosh, I love so many things about my job. I run 3 different groups, so I get to hang out with kids, which is a very fun part. But I actually, so many people say, oh, that sounds like a really sad job and a really hard job. It is hard because we're so busy. We're really trying to do so many different projects, and we really want to get any kind of support out. It's sad because I do hear stories that I don't ever want to hear, but I see so much hope. I really absolutely see kids having fun and showing me that they're resilient and that their family is able to kind of make it through kind of their hardest time. And so it's really beautiful to be able to see kids connecting with each other and really asking awesome questions to each other and providing each other answers and support. And, they'll say to each other, like, I never thought that I would hang out with you. Like in high school, in a teen group, we're in high school, we go to different high schools. If we went to the same one, we probably wouldn't be friends. We're in very different circles. But I can come to the Dougy Center and I can be with you, and it's really cool to hear your perspective. I think we kind of said this in the video, but death tends to be this ultimate equalizer, and it really allows people to kind of break down their barriers and come together and support in times of need, and that's a really beautiful thing.
Is there personal counseling, and when do the kids access the different rooms, the art room and the volcano room and all of that?
So we don't offer individual counseling, it's all groups. We do, know lots of professionals who specialize in grief in the community, so we can provide those resources if families are interested in that. And there are some kids who may do both, or who may do better with individual, but for groups, we start out with what we call our opening circle. So that's kind of what you saw when the kids are in the circle rooms and they're talking about their name, age, who died, and how. And then they go off and they have free time. So free time is the time that they can access all those different expression rooms and really have fun and play. And what we know about kids when they're playing is they're actually working. So, they're doing their work through all of that fun play. And then they come back and we do a closing circle. In our closing circle, we light a candle for anyone or anything on our mind. And then we go around and we say one thing we're looking forward to kind of move from heart space back into head space. Because kids are usually going home to do kind of like bedtime routines, maybe finish up a little homework, that kind of stuff. Yes,
How do you handle the more like faith or spiritual part of when kids have questions about, dying, where do you go, and you do have a general perspective on that, or how do you handle that part?
So we actually never really give kids answers on anything. If they, whatever a kid says, I say, oh, you're wondering, what happened to your dad after he died. What do you think? Tell me what you think. Tell me what you've heard in your family. So really just kind of providing an open space for them to, generally they have some kind of idea. And that idea may be very different from even what I know or what I've heard or, different, facts or just beliefs, and all of that's okay. There's space for all of that. So it's really just kind of doing a lot of reflection. I hear what you're saying, and then I kind of turn it and ask, well, what do you think? And they usually are able to really express some pretty awesome thoughts. Yeah.
How many children do you help in the course of a year?
Over 2,000 individuals. I don't know the exact split between kids and adults, but I bet just really roughly, I bet it's probably about 1,300 to 700, 1,300 kids to about 700 adults, around that. Yeah.
Do you get support from any of the local foundations like the Meyer Memorial Trust or any of those folks?
Gosh, that is definitely a development question. I'm not the best at all of our grants. We do access some grant funding, and I know we've worked with Meyer in the past. I don't know if they're currently funding us, but yeah, we do seek out some grant funding as part of our community fund. But yeah, we don't get any federal dollars. It's all really local. So we really rely on our community to support us. So our website is here, it's dougy.org, or if you had a question, you can certainly email help@dougy.org or call our main number, which is on our website as well. We're always more than happy to talk to anybody or kind of talk through anything. I do have some brochures too that I can hand out or leave out if anyone wants to access those as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alysha. Let's invite Alysha to stand on this side and Vicki over here if you all would just like to come up and talk. And Alysha, maybe you can hand out your brochures there. One of the questions that I was going to have for you that you've answered already is how we might get involved and volunteer. So there'll be all kinds of opportunities to read and study more about that, and then getting on the website to look at other resources and things that we might be able to do to pour in. So thank you all so much for coming out.